Welcome, everyone.
Hey, all.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Nappy.
Hey,
hello.
everyone.
It's so good to see your faces.
We are super pumped because this is the first nationwide virtual conference for enrollment professionals and our panel discussion. We should let the audience know we did give our panelists some of the questions, but not all the questions. And the reason being is not only do we have some questions up our sleeves, but we will be taking questions from the audience. That's right, across 5 different platforms. So please send us your questions, post them, and we have a producer backstage who's going to try to get to all of them. With that, I want to kick it off. If each of you can give a brief description, not only of what makes your institution unique, especially that mission, because you each do represent different types of institutions, your role, and your favorite hobby outside of work. We'll begin.
Brad, why don't we start with you, Brad?
Okay, Brad gets to go first.
Yeah, figuring out the order of things in these conferences is always an interesting game. So my name's Brad Camilleri. I work at Biola University. Biola is a faith-based university in Southern California. So the uniqueness of our mission is that we are expressly for students that personally possess a Christian faith, that are trying to figure out how to integrate their faith with their learning and their vocation. So that's really what we're about as an institution. I'm the director of marketing strategy and client services for the university at all program levels. And the hobby that I have that is keeping me sane during this time is taking care of my 2-year-old boy, Elliot, who is a joy and is the silver lining of this time that as an extrovert has otherwise been a real challenge for me. But spending extra time with my boy has been a delight. So that's me.
Awesome. Leanne?
Hi, I'm Ann Hughes. I'm the VP for Enrollment Management and Marketing at Illinois Wesleyan University. You can probably tell from my voice that I may have a little bit more in common with Brandon than I do others. I'm originally Tennessee born and moved here to Bloomington about 4 years ago to take the position here. Illinois Wesleyan University is a small private liberal arts university that really focuses on pre-professional and liberal arts and the marriage of those two. And we have the highest employment rate of any private school in Illinois. All undergraduate. We offer no graduate degrees at this point in our time. So that's a very different thing for me, having been used to doing a lot of adult learning before I came here. I would say my hobby right now, because I've moved to Bloomington, Illinois, is that when the sun shines, I want to be in it. So I'm just so darn happy when the sun's shining. So I've been spending a lot of time reading and sitting outside until, the mosquitoes take me away. So that's what I'm up to lately.
That's fantastic. Anna.
Hi there. My name is Anna Miner. I'm Vice President for Admissions and Financial Aid at Colby Sawyer College in New London, New Hampshire. We're a small college of under 1,000 students in the Lakes region of New Hampshire, so we're surrounded by gorgeous lakes and mountains here. Our college is rooted in the liberal arts and sciences. We have 3 schools here. We have the School of Arts and Sciences, the School of Business and Social Sciences, and the School of Nursing and Health Science. We're probably very well known for our nursing program. We have the top nursing program in the state of New Hampshire, and we partner with Dartmouth Hitchcock Health on workforce development and helping them with some of their needs with students for both interns and full-time employment. So we have some wonderful opportunities here.
That's awesome. Now we can't have you skip a hobby. Yeah.
I was trying. I thought you'd duck that. So whenever I could spend time with family, I have 2 teenage girls, a husband and a dog, 2 cats. But we're beach-loving people, so we spend a lot of time on the Maine coast, which we love. And during this pandemic, I have discovered that I am pretty good DIYer. And doing a lot of work outdoors. My husband and I, with our kids, rebuilt a leach field last weekend. That's right.
Oh my gosh.
I know more about septic systems today. Just saying.
What?
Who knew?
Who knew?
No time like the present to learn something new.
That's right. Such an important function as well. But back to enrollment. Brandon.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brandon Johnson. I serve Tennessee Tech University as Vice President for Enrollment Management and Career Placement. So Tennessee Tech is in Cookeville, Tennessee, in Middle Tennessee. Leanne, you're going to notice that I actually don't sound like I'm from Tennessee because I was born and raised in Northwest Iowa. And so I'm a Midwesterner. Have moved my family to Cookeville about 2 years ago to join Tennessee Tech. Tech is a regional public university. We're an R2, so we have a fairly active research agenda. 9,000 undergraduates, 1,000 graduate students. Obviously, with our name Tech, middle name Tech, we are strong in the STEM and engineering, but we are also a comprehensive university. We are unique in that as a regional institution, we serve what's called the Upper Cumberland, which is a very rural area of Middle Tennessee or in Tennessee. And so we serve Metro, Nashville, Knoxville, Chattanooga, but we also have a surrounding area that's extremely rural and impoverished in a lot of ways. So it's a unique setting. It's good to be with everybody. Oh, and my hobby, it's fairly general, but anything and everything outdoors, from hiking and walking, just to yard work, anything to not be sitting behind this desk. And sitting, really. Just I don't enjoy sitting.
Well, I'm actually going to kick it off. Thank you to all of our panelists. And I'm actually want to kick it off with a really powerful question. You know, many of you probably know that today, Artie the Artichoke turned 47. That's right. Scottsdale Community College's mascot. And in 1972, when he was elected, what other candidates did he beat out? The winner of this question will receive a donation in their name to the National Urban League. Is it A, Tiger the Tiger Nut, B, Tommy the Tomatillo, C, Andy the Apollo Broccoli, or D, Rachel the Rutabaga?
Any guesses?
Any guesses?
I'll venture a guess.
Go
Why not? Okay, go ahead, Leanne.
Leanne's got
Hey.
A.
Sorry.
Okay.
Brad?
I'm gonna go with the Tomatillo.
Okay.
Okay.
Anna? Brandon?
I'm going with the rutabaga.
Okay, got one for Rutabaga and Brandon?
D.
B. The actual answer is the Rutabaga. It was a tough competition, but now let's get to the first question. And because the post-pandemic environment is about innovation, it's about challenging ourselves, right? Challenging things that we thought were normal. And want to open it up to the person that feels most comfortable sharing their response. But can you share with us, all of a sudden the pandemic hits, everyone's scrambling, you're working from home, employees are going out, to a number of different places. You are in reaction mode. Can you share something that you were hesitant about initially changing or implementing, but as you look back, you're glad you did because it had a positive impact on not only your strategy, whether it was your office, whatever that was, and how you measured the success? Because I know a lot of people over the past 3 days have shared with us, they want to do something new, but there's hesitation. And I think hearing from you all some of those experiences is valuable. What was that thing as you look back?
I'm happy to go.
Thank you, Anna.
Going live is a terrifying thing for higher ed, I think. And so being challenged with getting out there, leveraging technology, we're so used to being one-to-one and face-to-face that this concept of being out there and, Zooming and how quickly we became proficient was one thing. We had an admitted student day and we were all terrified of going live, and we recorded pretty much everything. And now we're like, oh, I'll do another panel, sure. We've become much more comfortable in our own skin. I think that we're leveraging technology in meaningful ways. I do not see this movement changing regardless of where we go. I think we always need to be present and live. I think if anything, we've created fewer barriers to students visiting our campuses. I think that's important. I think we've always had that, students visit the campuses that they've narrowed down to that they can afford. And, we want to create more access. Well, we've just created more access to our campuses and more access to education. We just needed to get over our discomfort with being live and putting ourselves out there. So for us, that was a big move. I mean, we're live all the time. A live weekly session. Yeah, it's great.
How many other people are using another virtual platform to go live more frequently in the panel? If you can raise your hand. To the other panelists, is there a nuance that you would recommend that you've noticed or been able to measure, saying, we know that certain programs, they prefer these types of students, prefer morning, or these programs afternoon. Any nuance that you can share that you found to be impactful when creating those virtual environments?
I'll just share something that I've experienced. When this pandemic happened, I think one of the things that was overwhelming is that everybody started to measure themselves based on what other people were doing. And you could find these opportunities and these strategies. I mean, from virtual tours to one-on-one sessions to it was just a rush of information. And it takes a moment where you have to step back and just be authentic. You just have to say, okay, well, what is Tennessee Tech? What do we need to do? We can't do everything all the time like every other school. And so that moment in time when you're overwhelmed, and then you become at peace with the fact that you just need to do what you can do and do it the way you would do it and just be authentic, because that message will be heard from the students, right? The way we recruit is not the same as the other schools in Tennessee and in the schools. And so it's important when students experience us, it's just not the same thing as they had at other places, and it doesn't look the same, it doesn't feel the same, and that's okay. It's okay to be uniquely us, and as long as it is aligning with sort of your characteristics of your institution. And so it took a while to get comfortable with that, because it seemed like every week I was getting a message to say, well, this school did this school did this school did this, right. And we just couldn't keep up, and we weren't even getting done what we needed to get done, so another school could say, hey, look what Tennessee Tech just did. And so I think that moment of just that being authentic and being real with yourself, and then communicating that to your prospective students and families.
Yeah, I'd like
Brandon,
to Oh, go ahead,
Brad,
Leanne.
we keep doing this. You go.
We do.
You go.
All right, I can go. So I want to comment on Brandon's statement about authenticity. I think that's truly important in this moment, especially. But it's always important for us as marketers and enrollment management professionals to make sure that the content that we are producing and the communication that we are having with prospective students and families is us authentically. Nabi, to your question about something that we did that I was nervous about a little bit, but ultimately was happy about, we radically changed our admitted student event from being a one-day sort of on-campus sort of like close the deal event when we had to go sort of virtual with it. We changed the nature of it pretty dramatically. We made it an entire week long, and instead of being one sort of concentrated event with a bunch of informational sessions, one of the people that reports under me, who actually knows and understands sort of the social media world of teenagers a lot better than I do, suggested that we really blow it up and we create an entire week of lots of different types of content, much of which was not actually like directly germane to enrollment and the admissions process and to presenting the unique selling proposition of the school. And I was sort of like hesitant about doing that sort of thing, but ultimately gave the go ahead because I really do trust her expertise. And man, it was just the greatest thing. So all week long, I think we had 22 different sessions. And while some of them were informational and like Q&A sessions around financial aid, one of them was like painting with Brandon, and one of them was like another one of our current students like sort of leading whoever wanted to join him through a lot of it was just authentic communication with people. And what we found was there was such a hunger for real connection to be made. We had 3 times the amount of students that engaged in our week-long Admitted Student Week experience than we have ever had come and engage with us at our one-day Admitted Student Day. We went from a 300-person event to a 900-person event by sort of radically changing it. And I think that this is actually going to impact how we do this moving forward. And even when we can re-engage in person, there are things that we're learning about the benefits of virtual engagement that are going to persist. And that's one of the things that we're going to carry forward somehow.
Hey, Brad, before we go to Leanne's response, what was the most attended event outside of the ones that are very germane to the institution, like financial aid or sign up for classes? What was the one where you're like, I can't believe this many people are attending it. Wow, this is cool. I
don't know if this one was the most attended one, but I know that the painting one was actually like quite significantly attended, which again was like a surprise to me. But yeah, it was just something that was unique. And I think the students really got a chance to connect. And some of the students that we were using on our end were people that had some connection with prospective students, because they are the current students that we use for our own sort of social media presence. So over the course of the year, these students sort of build a certain awareness and sort of personality of their own through our various platforms. So that one I know had a surprisingly significant connection, even if it may or may not have been the most attended one, but it was the one that surprised me the most.
That's awesome. Leanne.
Great comments, you guys. Just going back to sort of what Brandon was starting with, I think for us beginning this, it was just being overwhelmed at what everyone was doing and realizing that in some ways we had been less aggressive on our virtual tour on our webpage because really visiting our campus, it's that balance that you have to have between students relying on the virtual tour and not actually making the personal visit that you're trying to navigate through. So we had to mobilize quickly in that regard. But I would say one thing for us that was really powerful is we began in the first couple weeks just really using that time as an opportunity and to talk to the students. We started with student to student contact, and we didn't even talk about Illinois Wesleyan. We just called and said, how are you doing? Mm-hmm. We're so sorry about, whatever we knew about them, that you don't get to go to your soccer championship or you don't get to go to your prom and, all of those sorts of things. And then as we moved in, for us, that was an opportunity to demonstrate the personal touch that we try to demonstrate all the way through the 4 years at Illinois Wesleyan. But then as we sort of started doing the other things, we did a lot of what you did, Brad, with our visit day, only we just gave a link to only the admitted students, and we had it available on the website. And then we did what we call Titan Tuesdays, which are now moved over to Student Affairs, and they're picking those up. And we did a handoff between us and Student Affairs. That was sort of a party celebration. We mailed everyone biodegradable confetti. And so they had a moment, and we shot off those smoke gun things that I think are really supposed to be for gender reveal parties, but they make them in green. So go figure. And that was, for me, one of the things I was, I guess, maybe the most nervous about, if people would get into that. But what we found, especially if we involved parents, when it was in those moments of celebrations, you could just see the connection between the student and the parent and us as an institution in a really powerful way. And so that, for me, was one of the surprising opportunities. And of course, that did dictate the timing. Nappy, going back to your question, trying to schedule things for parents that are a time, knowing they're probably working at home, but even if so, doing some things after 5 p.m. and making sure they're a part of that. So that was really fun. And we had students take their confetti and create these art pieces with them and just do some really cool stuff that was sort of an organic afterthought that never occurred to us. So like you said, there's some real opportunities in, how people have responded.
That's awesome. Now, real quick before we move on to the next, I see 2 questions that have been posed out there.
Yep.
A very quick one. Brad, Jamie would like to know what was painted during that session.
Oh man, you got me. I'm not sure what it was that was being painted, so I don't want to. Oh, what did I paint? Yeah, no, I did not participate. You wouldn't want to see me try to do art. I don't remember what the thing was that was painted, but the whole point of it was not that. Obviously, it was just like the social connection that people were starving for. Sorry, I don't know.
Okay, well, we'll come back to that at a different session. The next question that I see, and this is a really interesting one to me as well to hear all of your perspectives on. Ashley wanted to know, how do you foresee fall travel scenarios for your counselors, and how will student outreach evolve if travel is limited? Brandon, what do you think?
Well, I think the silence is probably the answer in that one.
That's exciting.
A lot of unknowns. Yeah, a lot of unknowns. This is what we sort of have to keep in mind is even though so much has changed, so much has stayed the same. This pursuit of students and helping them gain access. This is still the same game we've been playing for years. We just have to pivot and move. And so we, at this point, we're hopeful to get into schools. We're hopeful that some of this comes back to what we're sort of used to, but a lot of it won't. And we will keep doing what we have been doing in terms of the virtual engagement and really ramping up and improving some of the stuff we've done. But I believe what we'll see is both and. We will be doing some of the traditional items, and then we will also be doing some of the non-traditional, sort of the new way of recruitment. So it'll be interesting to manage that. I think that's, from my perspective, one thing that we're going to have to pay attention to is burnout and overwhelming counselors. Is they're going to be expected to be perhaps at a high school visit and then a virtual visit 2 hours later, and what does that look like, and how do we give them the equipment? So a lot of unknowns. We are unique, and we're actually having our orientation on campus this summer. And so that was, in Tennessee, we're one of the few, and that's been interesting to try to figure out how do we even get students on campus? How do we even get back to that sort of level of comfort? But at the end of the day, we just got to find ways to engage students, and there's a lot of complexities that we've yet to solve, but we'll get there. And I'm confident as long as we just keep focused on the student, we're going to figure it out.
Fantastic. Anyone else?
I have a question that I did not share. So my question is this. We talked about the traditional age student, but I think all of you on your campuses have a post-traditional student population, and they do vary based upon programs. What was your pivot like for that population? And share with me, where did it differ, or what were some of the things that you employed, in order to address that population specifically, whether it was at the graduate level or a post-traditional population at the undergraduate level?
Most of our students that are professional learners tend to be folks on different schedules. Many of our programs, such as our graduate programs or our online programs, are really geared toward working professionals. And so there is a lot of one-to-one contact and a lot of off-hours correspondence and back and forth. So, so we definitely expect our admissions counselors to do a lot of one-to-one outreach to work with those folks at a time that really works for them.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
Brandon or Leanne, Brad, did you notice anything different with your professional populations?
I don't know different, but one of the things that we have spent time discussing on the leadership team, and this steps outside of admissions a little bit, but we can no longer expect students to come to our offices for any reason. right? And so if you think about as they prepare for submitting anything through the process that requires them to step foot on this campus, we have been exposed. And so we have really been rethinking, and there's a recruitment app, and there's sort of, once they've been admitted, there's these systems that they have to go through. And that now is a standalone and has to be rethought in terms of it has to be systematic, it has to be easy. And so that's one of the things that I think we got caught on a little bit, that we have these documents that you have to print off and submit, and well, when you have a high school counselor sitting next to you, you can't do that. And so we had to automate and think about all these, any and every document that's out there, anything that we need submitted, is it student focused and friendly? And we found some that weren't, and we're continuing to move those that they are.
For us at Biola, our post-traditional or professional programs were already fully online. So in many ways, they suddenly became the programs that were most prepared and were the model for how to pivot our other programs too. So they went from being sort of seeing themselves sometimes as like on the periphery of the university to being the ones that everyone was looking to say, well, how do you navigate this sort of support process well in a fully online setting? Like, what type of student support are you guys offering for your students that never ever come on campus? Because now all of our students are potentially never coming on campus, and how do we do that? So for us, our professional programs were actually the model in many ways for how to not only transfer curriculum, but to transfer student support to students. And again, I think that what we discovered, unsurprisingly, is that some of the services that we were offering to our professional, students were actually ones that our quote unquote traditional students also found valuable. So I think that coming out of this, even as the campuses reopen and hopefully stay healthy and are able to do so, we're going to be bringing forward some of the things that we have learned that previously we sort of placed in just the fully online mode. We're going to be bringing some of those services forward in a more robust way, realizing that students want the flexibility and they appreciate the ability to engage remotely at times and in ways that meet their needs.
Len, we have just a few more minutes. Oh my gosh, it's gone so fast.
I have another question. I do, because we forget about our unsung heroes, our counselors and staff. So many listeners want to know, what recommendations do you have for keeping your staff motivated, or what changes did you make with your staff to keep them motivated? Because as I started off, all of a sudden, boom, there is a lot of unknown, even in their home lives, for our staff. So what are some things that, some adjustments that you made that you found to work surprisingly well in order to keep them motivated, connected, with not only their mission, but just, what their job is, because they're so critical to the success of the institution?
I've got something.
Oh, go ahead.
Anna, I can tell you do too, Anna. You go ahead first. I'll jump in after you.
Oh, you're too kind, Brad. So we had a lot of work ahead of us because we went remote so quickly. And so there were a number of fast projects that we needed to get people working on. So creating cross-collaborative teams was really important for us, and giving people the opportunity to meet, to regularly work together on something, to not just be, I'm home, I'm isolated, I'm reading files, I'm getting decisions out, I'm doing Zooms. And so putting them on meaningful projects that contributed to our success in enrollment. We use Microsoft Teams, so we were, chatting a lot. I would send exciting updates because we extended our enrollment deadline to June 1. So kind of, Monday morning, how do we do over the weekend? And yay. Yesterday, we had a virtual cocktail party celebrating our success this year. There may or may not have been a margarita involved. So we really try to find these moments. I would try to send people regular little tidbits. Just noticed you did this, saw a really nice email come through, just kind of like, I'm still here, and just trying to keep tabs on folks to keep them excited. And giving them the opportunity to lead some fun projects was really great for us. We have a weekly live series, and different folks have been involved in the production of that live series. So that's been a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Brad?
the thing that I would mention here is actually applicable in any moment. It's not a COVID specific or a remote specific situation. But in terms of personnel management, when you lead a team, your people want two primary things from their boss. They want to be recognized and they want to be appreciated. So the recognition, they want the work that they do to be specifically seen and called out. And different people want that in different ways. So you, as a leader of a team, you actually have to sort of individually understand how each of your people want their work recognized. Not everyone wants to be called out live in a big Zoom meeting in front of the whole division. Some people just want you to reach out and say, hey, like, Sarah, I see this thing that you did. It was really above and beyond. Like, thank you so much. So they want their work seen. But the appreciation part is where I think we miss this a lot. People want to be appreciated for what they bring to the work, right? So it's good to be able to say, hey, I see you did this thing, but you also need to be able to see, and you did it this particular way because of the gifts that you have. So Sarah, like if someone else had done this, they would have done it differently, but you brought this particular thing to it. Mm-hmm. And I think when we as team leaders are able to appreciate and recognize our people, that goes a long way to creating motivation and morale. And that's true in any situation.
Sure. Leanne, I saw you come off mute.
Sure. Yes. Yeah. You know me, Brad, I think that's so true. And in this environment, making those recognitions, you don't walk down the hall and pop your head in someone's office and say it, so it really does require a really conscious effort to do those sorts of things. And we've tried that as well as much as we can. We've had, if you know me, we've definitely had some cocktail hours to celebrate, to commiserate, to whatever's going on. Our birthday celebrations moved to that. And, and occasionally we would just have a meeting where we just said, we're not going to talk business. We did that last week about the George Floyd and the Black Lives Matters movement, and just talked and asked how people were feeling, and just used that time to really be together as a group. And then the other thing that I would add that I think has been interesting, and I think it's worked in a lot of ways. Our retreat is typically in the fall, and so we're still planning that. But we also knew that in the middle of this, there would not be the same level. We went back to fall planning. We're just now getting some of the information where usually we would have been doing that earlier. So we were fortunate enough to have subscriptions to it used to be lynda.com. I think it's something else now, the LinkedIn. And so everyone has a password to that. And so we've just told them, take a couple hours every week, mark your calendar off and do something that you want to learn about. Something that is applicable to your job, or doesn't even have to be applicable to your job, but just a professional development opportunity to spend some time thinking about something else rather than, as Anna said, just going through Slate and reviewing applications. So I think my team would say that's been a really nice benefit to be able to do that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I cannot believe that our time has already elapsed. I could talk all day with you guys and listen to the experiences that you're having. Len, do you want to say any closing thoughts?
I just want to thank you for making yourself available to the entire community. It means a lot. All of our days are busy. All of us, your time is valuable, and to make yourself available to the hundreds of people listening in today, thank you. Thank you on behalf of the Capture family and the listeners today. We appreciate it.
Fantastic. Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone. Nice to meet you all.
Absolutely.